英語聞き流し10分間、名作リスニング、英語テキストと MP3 ダウンロード、その他の物語は、ホームページよりご利用いただけます。88thpp.com 88thpp.com
Jackpot. That casino was old and forlorn. Inside, it had the outdated concert hall where gaudy revues and magic shows used to be abandoned. Since the casino lost its popularity and customers, the hall had been used as a makeshift break area. Those who used up money for gambling and no longer had anything to do sat there sparsely with vacant eyes, producing a wretched atmosphere that perfectly matched the whole casino. My partner, my mother, and I was resting there after we lost most money. As it was too gloomy to be sitting in the break area, my partner suggested that we should use up the scarce rest of our money and leave the casino. Each of us sat in front of our favorite slot machine. On the screen of my slot, I came close to win with 2 matched pictures, but the third one didn't come up in every turn. My mother and I quickly ran out of money. Further down the floor, I saw my partner still playing. I left him there and went back to a hotel with my mother. It was the last day of our stay, and I started packing for checkout. The hotel looked out on the waterway that connected the hotel and the casino. For a brief break from packing, I went out on the balcony of our room and watched the waterway. Then I noticed something gigantic floating far up the waterway. It was slowly flowing toward the hotel. The closer it got, the more monstrous it became. It approached near enough to tell what it was. A tall, triangular-shaped white condominium was carried on a massive barge. Tied behind it was a white, enormous sailing ship. They were carried carefully from the direction where the casino was located. Considering where they came from and how unusual they were to be carried along the waterway, I assumed that they were some prizes of the casino. I called my mother to the balcony and we wondered what kind of person had extremely good fortune like this. The barge and the ship stopped in front of the hotel, right under our balcony. There was the third boat tied behind the ship. A man was sitting in it, almost buried in numerous boxes and bags. It meant he was the winner. I gazed at the man with the biggest possible amount of envy, and I gasped. The man who won all of those was no other than my partner. I couldn't shout, couldn't scream, but was just speechless. I saw my partner getting off the boat and being welcomed by the hotel staff. He gave them some instructions and they hurriedly moved around. Soon, there was a knock on the door of our room. The bellboys brought countless boxes of shoes and bags of brand clothes into our room. Finally, my partner came in. He said calmly, "It's time for checkout." I told him that I hadn't finished packing, and he said, "It's all taken care of. I hired people to do the rest. We can just leave." We stepped out of the hotel. In front of my eyes, the white condominium gleamed under the bright sunshine. The white sailing ship gently swayed with its sails furled. I asked myself repeatedly, can anything like this actually happen? My mother said, I've always wanted a condominium like this, and got on board the barge. My partner returned onto the boat. I was excited enough to jump in the water and floated by a swim ring that was connected to the boat. The fleet began to move again, and we were heading home. While we were slowly moving down the waterway, I saw some parade floats in the water ahead of us. The area was a popular resort destination, and the waterway threaded through many hotels. The parade seemed one of the events held in the area. Seeing the floats far ahead and the big condominium and the sailing ship before me, I asked my partner, "This is a dream, isn't it?" He had been expressionless up until this point, but smiled for the first time since he won. "Why? Are you that happy?" he asked me back. I usually dream a lot. Sometimes I dream a very good one and feel ecstatic in it. But in those cases, waking up is excruciatingly painful. Dreadful disappointment crushes me. I've had those experiences more than too much and want no more. I would do anything to avoid it. If this is also a dream, I have to wake up now before euphoria gets inside me. Otherwise, I couldn't bear disappointment of this magnitude. I was sad that everything I had gotten would disappear when I woke up. This was undoubtedly the best and the most vivid dream I've ever had. But I had to know whether this was reality or not at this point in order to minimize disappointment. I looked at the clear blue surface of the waterway on which I was floating. It was sparkling in the sunlight. I hit the surface and made it splash. Sprays of water showered on my face. It was cold and refreshing. I slapped my wet cheeks with my both hands. It hurt. Still, everything stayed as it was. I slapped my face over and over, hearing the sound of slapping and splashing water and my partner's laughter. The condominium and the sailboat were still there. I felt a gentle breeze and drips of water streaming down my face. I looked up the bright blue sky and got the dazzling sunshine over my face. I didn't wake up. This was all real. Now that I was convinced this wasn't a dream, I was able to take it in. Indescribable happiness seized me. It almost choked me, and I panted for breath. I felt my lungs were pressed with happiness and heated like coals. I've never been this happy in my entire life. I became a billionaire. My life got redeemed. I was finally getting out of a prison and living in a place where I should be. I was filled with a sense of relief, peace, and freedom. I felt a lump in my throat. It was as if the heated coals in my chest reached the boiling point and were about to explode. Tears appeared in the bottom of my eyes. They began to liquefy my sight. I blinked to shed tears. I felt tears rolling down my cheeks. I opened my eyes again. Then, much to my horrible surprise, the sight remained black. I blinked again and fixed my eyes on the darkness. It was the ceiling above the bed of my room. It was completely beyond belief. Although I made sure so many times, All what happened was a dream. I was simply lying on my bed with tears streaming down my face. The sensation I had felt was so real that I even suspected this awakening was a dream. I sat up on the bed, bewildering. Everything was gone along with happiness. I was dazed for a while without moving. I uttered several times, "Can't be a dream," because it was too real to be a dream. I made a mistake again that I've tried to avoid all the time. This time, the mistake was huge. The dream was too good, too vivid, and too happy. Accordingly, disappointment was really grave. I felt the massive disappointment was trying to squash me. I couldn't get up. I kept sitting on the bed and started weeping.
英語聞き流し10分間、名作リスニング、英語テキストと MP3 ダウンロード、その他の物語は、ホームページよりご利用いただけます。88thpp.com 88thpp.com